G'day guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going through my round 11 AFL tips plus predictions. It's the second week of Sir Doug Nicholas around the Indigenous round, week 2 and the final week of it, so yeah, hopefully there are some cracking games, and yeah, let's get into the tips. This week for round 11, I've decided to change it up a bit. I will do my tips on ESPN. And yeah, we'll start off with the review. So I went with the Cats, just thought that maybe they were due for a win after 2 losses to good sides, to be fair. But at TIO, the Suns, they put on a big score. Mind you, the Cats did too. But they were just, after quarter time, the game was over. Geelong were leading by 3. And then I think the Suns, I think they had 2 quarters over 7 goals. So yeah, credit to the Suns, able to put on a massive score. And TIO is pretty much a fortress for them. If they relocated to Darwin, I think that they would be a pretty good team, the Suns, because yeah, they're 6-0. They've won their last 6 at Darwin, so yeah, that's good for them. Didn't get the tip right, so not good for me. Went with the Swans to beat the Blues. I just thought that maybe they were the better team and at home. They ended up winning by quite convincingly. I'm pretty sure Carlton kicked the first few goals of the game. Then Sydney were getting back into the game, and then in the end they pulled away. I think it was a bit disappointing though how Carlton played. They lost this game by, a fair 8 goals, almost 9 goals, almost 52-point loss. I feel like they could have played a bit better in the end, but yeah, credit to Sydney. Went with Collingwood over Adelaide. Some say Adelaide were robbed. Did Isaac Rankin run too far? I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I think it's a 50-50 call. I don't really mind. I think they probably did get it right in the end. So, yeah, got that tip right just. Went with the Giants over the Dogs. I just didn't know. This one was sort of a 50-50 game, probably more towards the Giants. So I went with them. The Dogs, they were very impressive. And the Giants, they're out of form now. They really lost some games, big games. And, yeah, they could be in danger of missing the top 4. Anyway, over at the Gabba, the Lions managed to defeat Richmond by 119 points. Now, I really wanted to watch this game, but obviously I was watching the Saints game. Yeah, this game probably would have been much more entertaining to watch. Obviously, the smashing. If you're just Richmond at the moment, it's probably almost unwatchable, really. They're pretty much the new West Coast. I don't like to call them that, but, yeah, they are certainly looking like it. Not good there for Richmond. Went with the Saints over the Dockers and Marvel. This tip obviously was biasy. I think I just need it back in my home side. If I wasn't a Saints fan, I probably would have tipped the Dockers. Dockers get a gutsy win. In the end, they probably could have won by more. But yeah, I think they were just the better team at the end of the day. And the Saints, well, we can't even score still. Then at Marvel Stadium on the Sunday, we had Essendon 40-point winners over North Melbourne. Look, I certainly thought it was a better performance from North Melbourne. They were able to get a few scores on the board. They were competitive for most of the game. And yeah, they kicked away early in the first quarter, so that's good there. Then at the Adelaide Oval, wow, what a game this was. I was watching the last 2 quarters of this one. Port Adelaide were down by 42 to Hawthorn, which Hawthorn have been a poor side, but it was looking like the Hawks are playing some good footy, and they still are, but Port Adelaide, what was his name? I forgot it. Kicked the winning goal with about 1 second left. It was an amazing match. And then the upset tip, I don't think anyone would have got this right. I don't know how, but the Eagles bet the Demons, and yeah, West Coast have definitely changed a bit. So yeah, that was a good bad tip there. I got 5 out of 9 this week. A bit poor, but I'll take that. I guess there were a couple of upsets. So we kick off our round on Thursday night with the Doggies taking on the Swans at Marvel Stadium. Now, coming into this match, the Swans are the favourites. 88% are going with them. I think at Marvel, it could make the Swans a bit vulnerable. I can't remember the last time they played at Marvel this year. I don't think they have played a game at Marvel. Could be wrong on that, probably am. But, at Marvel against this Bulldogs side, who have found a bit of form, 3 wins in a row. And, yeah, pretty convincing wins, to be honest. So have they been? They've been Richmond by 91, the Giants by 27 in a really good game, and I forgot who else they bet. I forgot who else they had beaten. But, yeah, the Doggies are in a bit of form now. Definitely responding. For me, I just think they'll have to back in the Swans, though. I just really like the way that they're playing at the moment. I think they're the better side. And I think they'll get the win. But at Marvel, I don't really think it will be a big win. I'll go with the Swans to get an 18-point win. Yeah, Swans by 18. I think that's fairly, that's a good margin there. Then Friday, we have Collingwood taking on Freo. Friday night at Optus Stadium. Now, the Pies will be favoured in this match mainly because of their form. They have just been in incredible form. I think there's 6 wins on the road now. I think 6 wins in a row, so they find themselves 6-3, starting to find their premiership form. Freo, on the other hand, they're a bit of an up and down side. Had a good win over my Saints on the weekend. Yeah, I think their inaccuracy could have costed them the game, and usually the more inaccurate side loses when it comes to close games, but they managed to win and they definitely deserved it. I'm gonna back in the Pies here. I think that they have been playing better footy. I know this is at Optus. I will back in the Pies, but since it is at Optus, I'll go with the Pies to win by 20. I don't think it will be a big win, but I just think that Collingwood, they're the better team, although Freo will be looking to win this game, because if they can win this game, top 8 is looking... Their top 8 chances are looking much better, but I think the Pies should just get the job done here, so I back them in. Then Saturday, we have Carlton taking on Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. Now, Carlton coming into this they're not in the best form. They've lost a couple now. They sit 6-4, which, they probably should be doing a bit better off of expectations, but I did say they were overrated a bit coming into this season. 14% are going with Gold Coast. I'm going to be tipping the Suns. This is going to be my upset of the week tip. I just think that the way they played the Cats, I know it was a TIO, but I think that, they will be looking to respond and build momentum off of that game. They just looked incredible. Now, I know the Cats did have a lot of outs last week, but they were just incredible. Their scoring ability is good. Carlton, on the other hand, their defence is just, their backline isn't looking the strongest at the moment. They're conceding some big scores again after they did fix it against Melbourne last week, keeping them scoreless in the first quarter. But for me, I'm going with the Suns. I just think that they're playing a little bit better at the moment. And I think they'll be able to get that slight upset win at Marvel. We saw Carlton lose to Adelaide at Marvel. I think this is going to be a similar game. So yeah, I'll tip the Suns in here I'll tip them to win by 8 points. Then at Blundstone Arena, we have North Melbourne taking on Port Adelaide. Now, the Roos, they're still winless. They showed some signs against Essendon, but Essendon have been playing pretty good footy. And, yeah, got an expected win there. They are just looking so poor at the moment, North Melbourne. I mean, the best thing they can do, really, is make these games, as close as maybe 30 points, and that's really it, really. They can't really do much than that, and it was disappointing because last year, even though they were losing, they were actually competitive, and they were competitive against Essendon, but it's just not really happy. It's not a happy club at North Melbourne. Now, they are at Blundstone, but they're 0-10. So yeah, this does make it interesting though at Blundstone. You just never know. But Port Adelaide, they're the better team. They defeated Geelong a couple of weeks ago at GMHBA. They led by 49. They were a bit disappointing against Hawthorn. They did win with that clutch goal. I forgot his name. But yeah, I think Port should get the job done here. I think it should be a pretty relatively easy tip at Blundstone. So I go with Port to get a 35-point win. I think North should show up a little bit, but I just think that their woes will continue and they'll go 0-11. So yeah, Port by 35. Then at GMHBA Stadium, we have Geelong taking on the Giants. Now both teams are coming into this really out of form. I mean, the Cats have lost 3 on the bounce now, and the Giants, they're not doing much better, really, in these last few weeks either. Dropping against the Bulldogs, a game against the Bulldogs, the week before they dropped against Essendon. 2 fairly similar teams that are pretty good, but they just, I don't know, they have looked like they've dropped off a bit. They can't really score. Now, they're starting to find some scoring issues, though. Toby Green, when he wasn't playing his best footy at the start of the year, he certainly lifted. Geelong, on the other hand, they're back at GMHBA now. They were disappointing a couple of weeks ago against Port. Here, obviously, they were down by 49. They did come back in the end. And, yeah, sort of the Gold Coast game, they were still able to score 100, but I think the Suns just powered off their defence. And, yeah, their offence isn't looking good. Now, I believe Geelong will have Jeremy Cameron, and Hawkins will probably be playing. I would expect him to play here. For me, it's a tough tip, but I'm going to back in Geelong to get the job done. I think that they need to respond. So do the Giants, but I just feel like they won't lose 4 on the road after going 7-0. You don't win 7 in a row and then lose the next 4. I feel like just the Cats at home, I know they've been a bit disappointing and a little bit vulnerable at home, but I think they'll be the better side and get the job done here by by 11 points. I think that the Giants should show up, but I just think that the Cats, it's really a 50-50 toss-up, but I think GMHBA, they should be able to get it done. Even though the Giants aren't too much of a bad side at GMHBA, they did beat the Cats up there last year, so yeah, it'll be interesting, but I think the Cats. Then at the MCG Saturday night, we have the Dons taking on the Tigers. Now, the Tigers, they are just looking very disappointing at the moment. You know, they do have a lot of injuries, but there's not really many positives for them in the highlights reel, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Essendon, they're going pretty nicely at the moment. I think they've won now maybe 5 games in a row. I think they have actually. They're playing pretty good footy. So I will be tipping the Essendon here. Quite an easy tip, although this is the Dreamtime game, so you just never know. Like if Essendon have a big out, but Tigers definitely could win here, but I just think that Essendon are a better side, so I will back them in quite comfortably to get a job done by 33 points. I know I haven't been going against Richmond by much, but I think the Dreamtime, I think Richmond will want to respond a bit. So, yeah, I don't think the margin will be overly big, but Essendon should get the job pretty convincingly there. So, yeah, Essendon by 33. Then, 3 Sunday games, we have Hawthorn taking on the Lions at Marvel Stadium. Now, I was actually coming into this tipping Hawthorn when they had that start against Port. With the Lions, how vulnerable they've been, and they lost this fixture last year to the Hawks at the MCG. You just never know, the Lions. They don't really play Melbourne that well. But I think that they will win here. I trust them, but they're not that trustworthy at the moment, but I'll trust them. I think that win against Richmond can certainly lift their hopes. So I will go with the Lions here, but I do expect the Hawks to show up because they have been in pretty good form. But I will go with the Lions to get a win here go with the Lions by 17. I don't think it's going to be really a big margin. I think Hawthorn will show up. Then at the MCG, we have my Saints taking on the D's. Both teams coming off disappointing loss. I mean, Melbourne should have won that match against West Coast. You should be beating West Coast over there. Mind you, West Coast, they're a different side this year. They're much more competitive. So, yeah, probably a bit tired. Now, they can use the travelling excuse, but I feel like they use it every time. So, I don't think that's the issue. My Saints, well, we just can't score. And, yeah, I think, if you want to play good defence, that wins you games. But you at least have to kick 10 or 11 goals. You can't just kick 8 or 9 goals. You at least need to kick 11 or 12 goals to play. You would need to at least score 75 points to get a win if you want to play good defence. So I'm tipping Melbourne here. I just can't see us getting the victory. I know I've been biased tipping us lately, but most of those tips have just been biased. With 7-3, our season's over. And I'm going to go Melbourne. This may shock you by a very big margin. I'm going to go with the D's by 41 points. Now, that's not very shocking. But since I am a Saints fan, that just rules out confidence, really. But I think Melbourne, they'll be looking to respond after that loss against West Coast. And, yeah, I think they'll win by 41 points, although I do hope that we win. But I just can't see us winning with how we're playing. Then, to wrap up the round, Sir Douglas, Nicholas around. We have Adelaide taking on the Eagles at the Adelaide Oval. Now, the Eagles, they're playing some pretty good footy at the moment. They're in good form. Adelaide, I think, should win this match, though. That's why I'll tip them. I got off the Crows by... what should I go them by? I got off the Crows by 19. I think the West Coast should put up a big fight here. But I think the Crows at home, I just trust them a bit more. So, yeah, I'll go with Adelaide to win by 19 points. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this video. I am releasing a power ranking video coming out later in the week. That should be out soon since it is after round 10. So, yeah, those are my round 11 tips. And, yeah, see you guys later.